Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my Immigrant Diary, the space where we unpack the struggles, the journeys, and the headlines that defines the immigrant experience. My name is Precious, and with me, as always, Wale. Today is packed, and we're going to talk about various interesting and twisted information about the immigrant experience. But before we go, Wale, how have you been?
Great so far. Just been very busy lately, but it's a good kind of business.
Busy is good, right? So also the World Cup is drawing to an end. What's your take so far?
Whoever wins between France and Spain is gonna win the World Cup. That's my prediction.
That's your take.
Yeah.
Funny enough, three of the four countries I picked are still in the game: France, Argentina, and England. I have a feeling to be France-England final.
Really?
Yeah. All of a sudden, I don't know, for whatever reason, I'm beginning to feel like, please, England, just win. But
It's funny thing. I met an English man. Was it last week Friday? And of course, we started talking about football, and he asked me which team do I support. I said for now it's Spain because I have some of my favorite players on the team, and you could see the disappointment on his face, like why is it not England? So if he had met you, I'd be very happy.
no, but like I said, I'm beginning to feel England was not top of my list. Top of my list at the beginning of the World Cup was France, and it's still France. That's my objective choice. But my emotional choice of late, as the team progressed, my emotional choice was Portugal. My logical choice at the beginning of the tournament is France, right? Portugal has been knocked out. So now I have to find where to dump my emotional choice. Or I don't say emotional, I'm more like sentimental choice. So my sentiment for the available teams is with England. As a Premiership fan, as a Man United fan, there's a tendency to go that way. But as a critical football lover, as an objective football lover, I know on paper France have the best team right now that can win the World Cup. And I'll tell you simply why. France, among all the other teams available, France is the only team that have three top goal scorers, three top players, one top playmaker. More than that, France forward, people don't talk about that enough. They have the current world best in Dembele.
Yes.
They have the current highest goal scorer in the Spanish league in Mbappe. They have the current world youngest best player in Doué. And they have the current German player of the year in Olise. And all these are in the attack. And that speaks for why the attack has been,
Very
great.
good.
Very good. But nobody talks about those four people running at you. Do you get what I mean? And so compared to the other teams, compared to Spain, Yamal is not in his best form. Oyarzabal is doing well. And if you go to Argentina, you only have Messi and maybe, what's his name? Alvarez as the two top players. That's just two compared to four in France. And in England, currently, you only have Jude Bellingham and Kane as the two top players creating and scoring the goals. So if you look at it head-to-head by numbers, you most likely objectively go with France. But football, anything can happen.
I'm looking forward to the game tomorrow. We'll see how it goes.
All right. So before we go into football commentary and become football commentators, let's go back into why we're here. This is for our community, for everyone who is in the immigrant community. We know how stressful the visa application can be. Recent global statistics just came out, and the numbers are a bit quite of a pinch. First off, the UK office released their latest figure, and Nigeria officially recorded the second highest number of UK visa refusals globally.
Wow. Yeah, and Nigeria is just what, over 200 million people?
Yeah, if you think about it, I think it has a lot of people, Ali. First of all, people. Nigeria is the fifth most populous nation in the world, I think, correct? So it's the fifth or sixth now, the most populous country in the world, because the first, like China, then India, then America is the third. India, I think India is the number one visa refusal in the UK. So Indians, because they don't speak English and they can move to English-speaking countries. So England is one of the countries they apply because of the population.
Because of the history that we have
with them as well.
In the past, has colonized both India and Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So when the relationship became better, when we became independent, a lot of Nigerians and Indians did move to the UK. So, and now, like we discussed last time, You have a lot of families that are already in the UK. UK is like, it's like one of the places where you want to go and build your dream besides the United States for Nigerians. If it's not the United States, usually it's the UK. Those are the two top competing countries that is on the minds of a lot of Nigerians. Even though like the UK has a much smaller population, but because of our history, we have a lot more people traveling to the UK. Plus, it is a lot more bearable to travel to the UK than crossing over the Atlantic to
come
to
to the
come.
US.
Yes.
You're right, Wally, 100% about that. Also, for the fact that, language barrier is very minimal or almost non-existent because we speak English and you can easily communicate when you go to UK and America, for instance. And so, yes, you're spot on with what you said. Same thing with people from India, communication barrier is non-existent. Maybe accent might be a small barrier, but it's not a really, it's nothing to worry more about. People will find a way to communicate.
Yeah,
Now,
but my 1.3 million refusers. That's what like
that's a lot. That's a
that
lot. I didn't even mention the number. Thanks for mentioning it. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
that's
And
almost
this goes with the visa fees, no non-refundable visa fees, right?
more or less 300 million pounds if you're looking at the per application. Not to mention
Non-refundable.
is that funding it's not just visa, then you have to go to this person to process, you have to go and do some medical something, all the other fees that are just surrounding the whole application process. It's a
Man, that's
lot more
wild.
than that, but this is crazy how much Nigerians are applying. And these are the refusal. I did take a look at the total number of applications.
You
So you
can't.
can
Yeah.
only imagine the total number of applications.
Yeah, so if that's refusal, give or take, I think 30 to 50% to 60% is being approved probably. Still a huge number in total. So it's still a lot of number. But that's not the only thing because the UK is not just the only one that have refused, applicants in large numbers. But the US as well, with the current administration have a really tall wall. And as a result, the US as well has released, data to show the number of rejections. And there are so many countries topping that chart. Wally, do you want to read the chat for us if you have it?
I mean, it's one of the most fun ones. But I already top five. I already the ones at the bottom, and I'll just try to go to the interesting ones. So on top is the top. That's from the least rejected. Now is how the order goes. So anyone from Monaco basically can come to the US. US is looking for everyone from Monaco because nobody is being rejected. They have exactly 0% rejection rate.
I think that implies that there are fewer applicants from that country as well.
Well, yes, Monaco is a pretty small nation. But anyway, regardless, whether it's one person, whether there are 10 people, all of them are getting approvals. If you compare to other countries where even if it is two people, if one person is being rejected, that's like 50% rejection already.
Exactly. So you're right. That's a huge one.
Yeah, second on the list, the UAE, the third, Japan, fourth, Switzerland, and fifth, Saudi Arabia. I'm surprised that you have a couple of Middle Eastern countries that they have minimal visa rejections here. I'm very, very surprised at that. Now, the worst countries that US does not want to see anybody from there is Micronesia. That's 100% visa rejection rate.
It's crazy.
So I don't know how.
What part of where's that country? Micronesia sounds like somewhere in Asia. Not even the president can come to the US. Not even. Man, that's wild. 100%. If you hold that passport, you're not
It's one of
coming
the
to
very
the US.
small island nations
Of course.
northeast of Australia.
It's definitely a small nation, man.
Yeah, that's the craziest. Then the next on that list, there's a huge difference. Is Bangladesh. That one is 61%. But for me, the most interesting is Canada and Nigeria.
What do you mean?
I could not believe when I saw this. It's like Canada and Nigeria are competing for the highest number of visa rejection rates. Canada is 53%. Nigeria is 57% right after Canada.
So no, I don't get that. Are you telling me US is rejecting Canadian visas? But although Canadians don't require visas to come into the US, do they?
Well, the visits you don't need a visa, but if you need to do things like if you're applying for education, you need to move as a student, you need to move for work, and then you need a visa. Any kind of long-term residency in the United States, then you need a visa. So if still 53%, I
A
was
lot.
very, very, very
More than
surprised.
half of the applicants from Canada. That's a lot.
Exactly, exactly. So I'm not sure why that is. Because again, Canada and the United States have a lot of relationship together, but my guess is that because of the current between US and Canada. But regardless, I was very surprised about that. That Canadians basically have more or less the same chance of being able to relocate to the US as a Nigerian, which I can't believe. If someone told me that even 2 years ago, I won't believe it. That's how
Well, I think
ridiculous it is.
what I want to add to that is, I mean, for countries who are on the banned list, 36 countries on the banned list, please stop applying, stop adding to the statistics because the US is not going to issue visas for students and for tourist visit for people for countries who are on the US banned list, like Nigeria. So there's no point wasting money for application for visas that you know people will not get. Now the story will always be street story. Oh, someone that knows someone got it. Nobody ever knows that one person directly that got it. But and sometimes nobody's talking about the category they are in because some people are in different category of visas that might be approved, which is not the general, you know,
Yeah.
tourists, B1, B2 visas for some of the countries that are under the ban list. So please, yeah, just be wise in the times that we're in, so that we just don't waste money paying for visas that's so expensive right now.
I think that was great advice.
Yeah. Now, moving on from visa struggles to more serious legal warnings. We always talk about crime stories, right? Vice or success stories on this podcast. And this next one is a massive warning about trying to bypass the system. The Attorney General, Colin McDonald, just issued an official memorandum to all Department of Justice employees regarding the prosecution of fraudulent bed tourism scheme. The US is taking a strong stand to clamp down on bed tourism. Wale.
Yes, this is crazy. I think this came right after the Supreme Court decision on birthright citizenship that they released this memo. It's not like we are not aware that the stance of the current administration on birthright citizenship. So, we are aware of it. But one of the things they've been trying to fight is foreign countries using the birthright citizenship as a loophole to more or less grab American citizenship. So I'm sure you've seen the tweet when President Trump congratulated the president of China when the ruling came out. And if you look at the memo, some of the people that they arrested, the names definitely do sound Chinese. Now they may be Americans, but like for example, you have Michael Wei Yue and Michael Wei Yue. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the name.
Yes.
And Jin Dong. So you have that couple. I think probably one of the things that gave them away was that they have a company called USA Happy Baby Inc. It's when they have these programs where they fly people in to come and have their child in the US. They also teach, at least the allegations is that they also teach people that are coming how to hide their pregnancy so that they'll be allowed to come to the US and then they can have birth in the US. Some of them have been jailed right now, but there is a much stronger movement to prevent this kind of thing. So for me, what it means is that if you're pregnant, you're probably not going to get a visa if you want to travel to the United States. That's the way I'm reading it. Looking into this.
Yeah. Also, the US actually require that if you're pregnant while traveling, because if you're pregnant while traveling, it's not a crime. It's not illegal to travel while pregnant, but that you must declare the intent of that travel while pregnant. Because if the intent is okay, I'm going to fly to the US to give birth to for birthright tourism, whatever, all for benefit, then you should state it in the application. Of course, if you state it, they will deny it for the most part. But they require that you declare your intent. And so that's partly why they are beginning to, really look at, pregnant women trying to fly. I know that people conceal pregnancy, especially those who are trying to fly in early. But some of the policies are already in a way I think are kind of rubbing off on or mitigating or limiting this, influx of people trying to come and give birth, because some countries are now being issued only 3 months stay in the US. So, past 3 months, you are already in default of visa requirements. So if a woman who is pregnant with 3 months coming to the US, the woman for many of those countries right now can only stay in the US for 3 months and leave. So anything beyond that is like you're in default of your visa requirement. And if you then give birth, I don't know what the US can do after the fact though, but I'm just saying those things are put there to kind of mitigate some of these considerations like birthright
Yeah.
citizenship.
But like you said, they've always required that you state your intent whenever you want to visit the US. So it just appears that now the Trump administration will be taking extra steps to prevent people who take advantage of it.
Correct. All right. Speaking of birthright citizenship, let's talk about the pure volume of people on the move right now. The interesting story that came out, a viral story that came out recently, was that ICE captured 10 supposed illegal immigrants in 5 days. That is some ridiculous amount of people. Like 10,000 in 5 days. Like, what is the goal? Is it KPI being met? I don't understand. I'm thinking about it. I mean, if KPIs are being met and there are bonuses for KPI, bro, that number makes sense. But if you're telling me people are just going there and just going out there and just being efficient at their job for no benefits,
I think
I
that's
leave that for others to decide. But
yeah, there has to be some sort of bonus
bonus or bonus for doing for what?
to be able to put up that kind
That
of number
number. Well, it's 10,000. Do what it means to 10. So wait, look at this. That's you're telling me they captured 2,000 people
per day.
per day. What do you know how many people it takes to capture 2,000 people? Like, you know what I'm saying? Where did they round them up? I mean, I would like to read more into the story. We'll put a link in the description for those who like to read, full details of the story. But I would like to do a lot more deep dive in this story, actually.
Yes, it's crazy from the post. It's talked about how ICE is going on the streets. I just read part of the post here. ICE officers have arrested people at check-ins with immigration authorities. So a lot of people who have their ongoing immigration situations going on. Maybe they were here illegally. They're trying to now become illegal residents. Those people fall into those kinds of categories. They are doing traffic stops. So basically, I'm not even sure how they identify people in this way, but apparently that has been very fruitful for ICE and on the street in the major search. And so they understand those who they are going for. They know understand they don't have the documents, or some of them have committed some kind of crime and they're due for deportation, or the list goes on. So they are using a combination of different strategies to make sure that they are able to meet these numbers.
All right, then, Wally. Recently, Canada started implementing a massive crackdown on licensed immigration consultants who are scamming innocent, desperate people with the promise of guaranteed visas. This is insane when you think about it. People who are desperate are not necessarily, many of them do not have the money they are being scammed off. Many people borrow, take loans, sell stuff.
Yes.
All to fall in the hand of some licensed consultant who is actually a scammer.
I actually almost fell for this kind of thing. I'm not sure if
Really?
I ever mentioned it. Of course, I couldn't prove whether the person was a scammer or not, but I saw, I think it was an ad. It was an ad that I saw online that, if you want to move to Canada, they have this process and all that. So I went in there, I reached out to them. And I think the guy said like their total fee was like over 1,000 Canadian dollars, consultation and all that. But I have to pay maybe half initially. But there were some things that just didn't sound right. Like it made it like sound like for sure, I'm going to get it. And the good thing, the advantage I had at the time was that I know that not everybody is approved for visa, regardless of which country it is.
Exactly.
But this person is telling me that I'm certainly going to get in there. And there were also other things that he said. It seemed to me that he was more interested in making me pay than actually helping me through the migration process. This was a long time ago. While I was just considering, okay, which country will I like to be able to pursue a career in? Anyways, so that was my story. I didn't even think that much about it. I didn't understand the extent to which it is that a lot of people do fall for this kind of prey. And if you don't have information, I can bet that you are going to fall for it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like you said, if you're desperate, you will fall for it. And a lot of people are falling for this scam. And the sad part is that is a seemingly legit scammer.
Yes.
Who is actually a consultant providing the job, getting people who, for whatever reason, did not scam their visas and making it looking genuine and scamming those who are not suspicious or suspecting. That's why it's very sad. And that's why the Canadian government decided to really come out on them. And they are setting up a fund where they can help people get back some compensation or get back some of their money and all that, just support those who have been scammed. So I
Great
must
news.
commend the Canadian government for doing that. That is really, really special. But let's pivot to a more positive, and a more encouraging and enlightening news. It's not all about rejection, crackdown, and scam. There are some incredibly positive news out there, and there is a new pathway opening up for those who are looking to travel to Canada. The federal government and the province of Manitoba just joined forces for a massive francophone push. Now, if you're familiar with Canada, you would know that there are two major languages, English, and there's a French speaking part of Canada. And if you speak French, then this is for you, and this is if you don't speak French, maybe you could go learn French. I don't know, but
No, for dual speakers or
there are a lot
bilingual,
of dual speakers out
there
there.
are,
So this
there
is
are
something,
opportunities. Yeah.
yeah, the opportunities that just put you ahead of every other person. Now, they are rolling out the red carpet, basically. So with this initiative, momentum has been given to French speaking immigrants to kind of build community around Quebec. I know this news have been out there before, but they keep pushing it out of time and time again because the numbers and the target they have not been met, and they want to also increase the population and the communities around Quebec, Manitoba. So that's why this is being reiterated and put back into in the news and the public, in the public eyes. So yeah, if you find this information useful, someone that needs it, please forward it. You can go to the description and find a link for more information. So moving on, in Europe, Slovakia just announced a massive comprehensive immigration reform that goes into effect by July 15th. 2026. Now, basically, they're completely modernizing their process. They're extending national visa validity to 120 days to give workers more time to relocate, creating a streamlined central visa authority to standardize wait time globally and to such that it drops wait time to 40 days. And yeah, like I said, they're introducing a digital residential card via mobile app called the e-doc lady. Wale.
This is great news all around. First, they are extending what they call the national visa. And the national visa is basically a visa for you to go to the country and walk through the process of finalizing your residency visa. So I'm not sure if you need to have a job before you have a national visa, but typically you need to have a job offer typically, and then you go there and you walk through the rest of the process. Apparently, people have been having issues. Now they decided to extend it. Initially, it was 60 days. Now they've extended from 60 days to 90 days. So that's great news for those who are trying to go through the process to give you some relief and time to be able to get your residency sorted out. Another thing they did was to extend the unemployment grace period. I think previously it was like a month or so. Like if you lose your job in a month, you have to look for work. But now they want to change it to if you are there for less than 2 years, if you lose your job, you have 3 months to look for a new job. And if you are there for over 2 years, you have 6 months to look for a new job. So it's a move basically to help them retain the talent, because if you think about it, it's almost impossible to get a new job in 1 month if you lose your job,
Yep.
unless, of
It's
course,
difficult.
that industry is in extremely high demand. But even if it is, the interview process was usually quite long. I'm not sure why they had that previously in their system, but now they want to make it a lot more reasonable for people to be able to apply and look for other jobs, apply, and then remain in the country. Because again, we are generally every country is competing for talent. It doesn't make sense for you to have a lot of experience in your country, just leave just because they lost the job that they currently have for no, especially if it's not their own fault. And another thing that they also something else that they also want to do, like most other countries operate right now, the consulars in different parts of the world are the ones that are responsible for processing and issuing visas. Now they want to bring everything under one roof. Probably, my guess is that like the application would probably still go through someone else before it gets to the consular. But before it gets to I think it's called the Central Visa Agency in Slovakia. So once it gets to Slovakia, you understand how much time it's going to take for you to get a visa. So it's not going to be, if you are in Nigeria, it will take 2 years. If you are in China, it will take 6 months. No. Everything is going to take 40 days or less.
Now that is impressive. Anyways, in conclusion, whether you're dealing with the tough reality of the UK and US rejection, or the legal situation and legal warnings from the US Department of Justice, or all the way to the fantastic new opportunities in Manitoba and Slovakia. The world is changing, but knowledge is the ultimate passport. Wale.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. We'll see you in the next one.
All right, now. Have a good one.